Well, welcome back, friends, to Real Talk with Kelsey and Rachel. I'm Kelsey. This is Rachel. You know, Rachel, over the weekend we got to look to see how the other side of the street lives, what they do. And I'm talking, of course, about UFC 229. Conor McGregor and Khabib. I don't know how to say his name. People just call him Khabib. But I had seen, so I grew up watching a little bit of UFC here and there. But I don't think I had ever gone to like a big pay-per-view party like this. I've seen fights before, but I don't really follow it that closely. I more follow it as I do, kind of like I follow the NBA, where I'm like, Spurs won today, good. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. But this was your first foray into the mixed martial arts, Rachel. Mm-hmm. I was wondering, what did you like about what you saw on Saturday? Just the experience of going to a big fight pay-per-view party, which you're, of course, accustomed to, but you aren't accustomed to that big fight being mixed martial arts.
Right. Well, for me, there was a lot of fun in going to a party, like a watching party at somebody's house with a bunch of other people there who were all familiar with the sport. And so I don't feel like I get to have that with boxing. So even if we do have people over, they seldom know anything about boxing, and so sometimes it's just kind of lonely. And then, like, on top of that, we are transplants to the Houston area, so we're also not fans of the home teams here. So whether it's football or basketball or baseball or boxing, I feel like I don't have any camaraderie with watching like various events. So I especially appreciated being able to go, and I was a person that didn't know much about what was being watched, but everybody else there did. And there was probably like 12, 15 other people there. So it was a good like chunk of people, and that's what I enjoyed most.
Yeah, I think I echo similar sentiments. It was neat being at a big fight party where I wasn't the person who was constantly asked questions about this or that. Not that I like doing that. Like we consider ourselves evangelists of boxing. Verily, we say to you, boxing is awesome. But it was nice to be able to go and just be the person who doesn't know things. We got to ask questions, talk about the different styles and different fighters. What did you not like about it?
I'm not sure that I would ever be a fan of MMA.
Why is that?
Well, there's two things. Probably three things. First thing is I don't know a lot about it. So just like when I try to watch hockey, I just feel like I have no idea what's going on. And so that hinders some of my enjoyment, because I don't understand what's happening or what's legal or not legal or just all these various things, right?
Yeah.
Secondarily, I find for the most part, now part of it's because I know a lot more about boxing, but I find boxing to be a little more action-oriented, whereas when I watch MMA, there's a good chunk of it that is just people, like I saw a guy on somebody's back like a monkey for an entire 5 minutes. And that's all that happened in the round. Yeah. And if that is or like grappling on the ground, that seems to be, and I've seen MMA like fights a handful of times, if that's what's going on a lot, well, I'm just not sure that it's going to be sold to me. I will say one other thing that puts me off about MMA is that I don't like to me, the hitting, there seems to be hitting past the point of somebody being knocked out before the fight is stopped, and that is unsettling for me, and I don't like it. So I like the count in boxing.
That could be, to be fair I think that could be more of, we've just happened to seen situations where the referee should have jumped in faster than he did.
Okay, maybe. I've only seen MMA a handful of times, and maybe they don't, like, maybe that's the case. But what I have seen, that has happened, and I don't like the feeling I have in my stomach about it. And then the last thing is, it's something about like the physical contact and being wrapped up with each other. And in this one particular fight, I mean, I literally saw blood squirting out of somebody, and then like the guys were like wrapped up in each
Slipping.
other and slipping around in the blood, and I was just like I just couldn't. And I get like there's blood in boxing, and that doesn't bother me. I don't know. I can't give you an answer, but maybe there's something about like not being wrapped up in each other and having gloves on that is different for me. Yeah, it's just like something there that like I didn't like.
Yeah, I think for me, definitely there's a level of enjoyment that I get from watching boxing that is in part due because I know a lot more about boxing
Right.
than I know about MMA. So when people go to the ground in MMA, I know a little bit what to look for, but not a lot. So I understand that if you're an MMA fan or if you've studied jiu-jitsu, that you can see things that I don't see, right? But I also know that before I knew as much about boxing as I do now, I simply enjoyed watching boxing more, too.
Okay.
And so I know that aesthetically speaking, I just love boxing more. I think it's more beautiful. I just enjoy watching it better. I think it's a better sport as far as what I'm looking for to enjoy a sport. And you might have a different opinion, and that's perfectly fine. I will say that what struck me at this party as well was we went and visited my friend Jeremy, who loves MMA a lot, and they always have big fight parties, and like it's awesome. Like I'm excited to go watch MMA with Jeremy, but Jeremy was disappointed in the main event when they went to the ground and said, "I don't like." He said like something like, "I don't like when they go to the ground like that and roll around like that for a long time." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, Jeremy, like that's how I feel." Even though I know what they're doing is fighting and what they're doing is an art and all that, I just don't like to watch it. It's not my thing. So to me, I was like, why aren't you watching boxing, Jeremy? Because what I like when I watch any MMA fight, I do enjoy when they are standing up and when they are striking each other. You know, and I don't mind when they kind of like grab each other and stuff. That happens in boxing too. And actually, 100 years ago, that was more part of boxing than it is today. But if you are the kind of person out there who watches MMA and are not a big fan of when they start doing jiu-jitsu, why aren't you watching boxing? It doesn't make sense to me because that's all boxing is striking.
Mm-hmm.
But I really enjoyed seeing how the other half lives. It was fun to kind of see how excited people were and what they thought about this or that and just hear them talk. I did kind of lash out at somebody at the fight because here I am, big boxing guy, come in, and some guy talks about Golovkin getting robbed, right? And I was like, no, but like that's just like I was like, oh, calm down, Kelsey. Like this person just has a right to his opinion or whatever. So yeah, it was fun. I think for me, you know, I'll watch MMA if it's on. We've seen a little bit of Bellator lately, precisely because it's on DAZN and it's there. So like, I'll watch it. I will probably never follow the UFC or MMA in general the way that I follow boxing. But that's nothing against that sport because there are all sorts of sports that I like that I don't follow as closely as I do boxing. Boxing has always been my favorite sport. To me, it's the best sport. It's the thing. I love the fighters. I love their stories. I love what happens in the ring. And I think that a lot of people do. I'm excited. I was excited to learn more about MMA, and I hope to watch more of it. Just like I could say the same thing about, I hope to see more baseball. I hope to see more basketball sometimes, but when I say that, I'm saying not at the expense of boxing, right? If there's, most of my free time is spent boxing, like following boxing. You know,
What you're saying is that we only have so much
Yeah.
of disposable time, per se, that we can dedicate to sports and to watching sports, and that boxing is like the number one
Yeah.
slot for that. And then we probably follow that up with football. And
even that, like, it's not nearly like it used to be. Like, on Sunday, my team, the Cowboys, were playing the Texans, and it went to overtime, and I was like, all right, let's go to bed. I don't care. You know what I mean? And I would never do that if Manny Pacquiao was fighting whoever.
Right.
Oh, it's the championship rounds, let's go to bed. You know, I wouldn't do that. So yeah, so I was just grateful to learn more about UFC and just kind of share that with you guys, our friends.